Good morning, Brendan Malone here from Raise Invest, and this morning I'm delighted to introduce Ayda. I'm not going to say too much about Ayda because she has done this many times before and is a lot better presenter and talker than I am, so I'm going to hand it straight over to Ayda to introduce yourself.
Thank you. Well, it's awesome to be here, and I'm Ayda. I'm from Grow Property Group. I'm an investor myself, so yeah, I've actually been an investor of Raise, and I'll tell you for how long later. But
Perfect.
yeah, I'm loving being here. I'm an investor. I'm a business entrepreneur, and yeah, I'm also a lot about helping people get more educated about money and finances and invest.
Absolutely. I think we both. I mean, the reason we're here together is because we both have that passion to help everybody,
Yes.
everyday Australians, anybody.
Yeah.
It's not young kids. It's not old. It's just generally everybody. So on that note, I think what's one memorable experience, and we're going to jump in with an icebreaker. What's one memorable experience that gets you in this seat today? What changed? When did literally the penny drop?
Well, how far back do we go? I think for me, okay, so I was born in Iran, we lived in Thailand, and then from Thailand to Sydney, and then Sydney, Brisbane back to Sydney, and then sort of global from there. But I couldn't speak any English. None of us could speak English. My dad could speak English. And we left when the Industrial Revolution happened and the Shah got kicked out. And then Iran is how you know it now, which is like, women have no rights. You have to cover yourself. So we left the country for, a better life. But my biggest memory was how much racism, bullying, and what I saw my mum go through. So I would say the moment for me was when we were trying to get my mum to English school, catching buses, and we would sometimes not be allowed on the bus, or the people would pretend they don't understand. My mum, it was just I could feel the pain.
Yeah.
I could actually feel how embarrassed my mum was. So as a young child, I didn't know what that meant. So I just thought because she couldn't speak English and she wasn't educated, then I needed to be really educated. So that's probably moment for me to be I need to be educated to be accepted. And so that's one of the biggest moments for me that shaped, I guess, the rest of my life.
Yeah, right. Look, I think that's so powerful that you wanted to, but you're continually educating, continually looking and searching for wisdom, knowledge, etc. And
Yeah.
I think that's so powerful. Nice work.
Yeah.
Great on that. So that's the early life, and even though through those different countries, and now you do a lot of travel, and
Yeah.
you do see other parts of the world. Is there any other challenges as you've gotten a bit older to sort of, there's always barriers to something. How do you get through them? And is there anything out there that the listeners would go, actually, that relates to me, I can do it?
Yeah, so I'll just say a little bit more about the history, which is coming to the country, and then my dad was a heavy alcoholic. So we actually lived in safe houses growing up. So at the age of 14, I tried to leave home, and then at the age of 16, I became my own legal guardian. Right. So that's huge because I had to become an adult, and I actually took myself to school, went and worked at night, and then I was always leading. So I was at Hungry Jack's at 14. I became an assistant manager while still at school. And then I would go to school, I would go to Hungry Jack's, and then I would go do my assignments. And I still did heaps of extracurricular. I would do represent the school in sports, do everything I could. But I think that's important because people always think, because I'm 40, I just turned 40 this year, but I've achieved so much. But when you actually look at how soon I started, it's actually a long time that I achieved that success.
Growing up very quickly. You had to grow up very quickly.
Yeah, so I think living at a home, paying rent, learning about all the bills, and then I went to uni and I studied business management. I majored in marketing, and I always loved property. So being Persian, I actually grew up with being surrounded by Sunland, the developers, a lot of the Persians that are actually pretty big developers, and I just saw them developing property. I just saw them changing cars, and I was hanging out with the kids, and they're like, look at my car. And I was like, oh my God, this is just they started here and now they're here. So I kind of linked that to real estate.
Yep.
And then I really liked marketing. So I went to go for real estate project marketing roles. And I actually went to so many interviews for this one role. There was thousands of people. It was a cadetship. interviews, exams, you name it. And then it was me and the director or the founder actually, and he was like, "You've got the job." And I was like, "Can you just let me know, like, what is the maximum money I can earn here?" Like, and this is like
That's
at
a
like
big question, yeah.
18. And he's like, and this is like, so this would be like 2001 to like 2002. And I was like, he said 100, 150. And then I had actually thought and applied for other roles that I saw in finance.
Yep.
And they were commission only. So they said, sky's the limit, you know, you do the numbers, you get paid,
Yep.
you know,
Yeah,
all of
yeah,
this
yeah,
sort of stuff.
yeah.
So I actually was like, whoa, you're actually capping my income, you know, and I'm going to work hard.
Yeah.
And that's, if he said whatever you want is possible, then I probably would have taken, it wasn't about the 25 grand a year, but
Yep.
he put a cap on me.
Yeah.
And so then I went to this other company for finance, and I actually was teaching people about money management, and we were selling a software to help people. So I would drive around to like everywhere, and I'm talking like farms. I got bitten by dogs. Like I hustled to help people because I really believed in the product, and so I learned about money management then.
Right.
And then I got offered a role in an investment company, which again, this is all comm only, never got a salary, where we were building house and land packages and selling them and teaching people how to invest. So I learnt that as well as doing finance broking.
Yeah.
And then I got offered a licensing opportunity. I guess it's like a franchise, but they don't really give you anything. They just let you use the brand. And then I opened up a wholesale funding company. So this is in 2000 and I think I had my grand opening and the Lord Mayor attended. I don't know how I got him,
Wow.
but 2003 was the grand opening. And I was basically a wholesale funder lending out ING Wholesale, Perpetual Funds. I mean, you would know all these names.
Wow.
And yeah, walking up and down the street, getting the business. So that's where that started. And then the challenges were that I learned at that age that like, you know, about legal agreements and contracts, because as the business evolved and the small banks or the wholesale funding was getting pushed out by the big banks, our clients started to say, well, how can you like help us go to a major bank? Their rates are better now, and we want to, and how can you help us do these other things? So we went and had an agreement with them, and they said, well, we don't want to do this. Like I tried to get them on board, and I was like, this is the way of the future. We need to start looking at property. We need to do, and they were like, actually, no, we don't want to do that. Handshake, go do it.
Yep.
And then a year, 6 months in, they realized probably how much money they weren't making from me, and I got like litigation papers. So
Right.
at 20, in my 21, I had to like deal with like letters to fight for my business.
Wow.
And they never gave me anything, like anything. So that was a roadblock for me because at 20 years old, I thought they were my friends. You know, they were older, but I thought like we would go to soccer. I thought they were my friends, and I was like, the business world is it's
There's
bad.
no friends, is there? Business
And
is
I don't
business.
know, am I strong enough for this? And I was walking along the river, and I was like, I don't think I can do it. You know, it hurt me. It broke me. You know, and I then was like, could I ever not do this? Like, because they were trying to actually put I know now people can't do this,
Yep,
but they actually tried to say I can't even be doing my job, like in the industry.
Imagine. Yep.
So I fought, I won. It was like 3 years, and then I won. I know it was so hard and lots of money, but I fought, I won, and I learned a lot about business. I learned a lot about like resilience and how much passion for what you do is important.
Yeah.
So that was like there, and then Grow started, and then we evolved through listening to our customers, probably similar to what you guys do.
Absolutely important.
We're like, oh, okay, well, I was investing in property, built a big portfolio. Can you help us? Okay, we'll start a buyer agency. We started property management. We bought a real estate office. We started developing property. So it's all this encompassing thing. But for me, I think when I hit 30, so I'm 40 now, I hit 30, and I'd already done it for 10 years. I'd achieved so much. And I kind of was like, what's next? You know, and I had this like midlife crisis at 30, and
Right.
I went to Africa, as you do, but we have schools in Africa that we were working as part of a foundation. So I went over with the founder of that, and I spent a few months there, and I just like, instead of going, oh, I need to like give up my life, it made me want to build so much more to help so many more people. So that I went back and changed, and then we made the Grow You, Grow Gives program, which is all about like helping other people be educated. So we run free workshops all around Australia, now online. We've had like thousands of people online, and it's free, absolutely free. And then we have like the education mentoring part, which I'm so passionate about. I'm so passionate about helping people because like I think that financial literacy, number one, is like the key because like then you don't get into bad relationships, then you don't get stuck, then you're more free, then you have like all of these things. So that's like the key of everything.
Yes. Yeah. So look, do you ever turn off? I mean, you walked in today, the energy in the room straight away, the energy I can feel sitting opposite you here. You know, I love the fact, and you know, listening from your beginnings through to what you've been through in the 20s and the courts and the papers and the people that don't, they say you're friends in business, and I've learnt those lessons as well. It's for you to stand up and get up every day. You know, that's a huge thing, and I can feel the energy and the excitement for you. And you know, the reason we're here together, as I said at the start, was that we both have a passion for financial education and awareness, you know, giving people the opportunity to give it a go.
Yeah.
And so, going back to what you saw back in your homeland with the properties and the guys getting new cars, etc. So, is that really where your passion for property started, or was it more here when you sort of realised that? And it's probably going back a few years now. I'm a little bit older than you, but it was always the Hills Hoist and the dream for Australian properties. Do people still say that to you today? Does that get
I think Australia's got that embedded. I don't know if it's like a school thing and like success
still
equals
generational?
Yeah, like so many people go, "Oh, I'm not successful because I don't own a property," and I'm like, that's not really a success. You know what I mean? Yeah. So it's not. It wasn't the passion for property. It was like I realized because we all came from nothing.
Yep.
So I realized that you have opportunity here. So like, for instance, I could tell you a million stories. When I was 13, I was volunteering at the refugee camps. This is like another moment. And there was people that are in their 30s, and I was like still in school, that had left Iran, Afghanistan, and all of these stories. And I was writing a paper for school, and I decided to interview a man. And one of the questions I asked him was like, what were your dreams and hopes and goals in life? And he was like, to stay alive. Yeah, right. And I was just like, that day, like, so it's not, property's just the portal.
Yes.
You know, investing's a portal to freedom.
Yep.
For me, it's like, holy crap, like, I'm a girl, I live in Australia, I can be whoever I want. Absolutely. And at that point, I felt like obligated. Like, I always feel like I've always had this, and this is like a detriment to myself. Like, if I don't do something with my life to better myself since my family left, and then all these people that actually still never, like, people died on the way here. I'm obligated to do something with myself, and I have the opportunity, or I'm letting him down. I'm letting everybody. Yeah. I don't know. It's weird when you've gone to these places and you realize how much opportunity you have, and you're actually not in a country that stops you. And there's a lot of other countries that don't stop you from being who you are. You don't have those obstacles. It's like that is really, I guess, the driving force and the energy. And then I think for me, like, I guess when I was young, it was like trying to just be successful and money. But like at 40 now, and all the things that I know, success for me is nothing to do with money. Yes. You know, it's just success is energy. So, yeah, I think people think I'm always on because my energy is high.
Yeah,
but I actually don't work. I mean, I don't work that much anymore. Yeah.
Right. Well, I'll come back to that point a little bit later, I think. So, look, as I said, the passion that you bring, and then you do speak to so many people to try and help them, and you know the free courses that you do, absolutely amazing. You know, I get out of bed every day because I think we can do better for all Australians with our raised product. But is there any sort of, I won't say quick wins because I don't like the word quick wins. There's no such thing as a quick buck or quick wins. You've got to work at it. You've got to educate yourself. You've got to apply yourself. You've got to read. You've got to open a book, get on the internet or do something. But is there any sort of advice for beginners on how to get to this awareness, or is there any common mistakes that beginners will go? And you know, from an equity point of view, in Raise, I'll go, people will say, investing's not for me, and then you ask why.
Yeah, this is an easy one. I mean, investing's not for me, or I don't know what to do. Well, okay, let's just break that down. You can, I would say, take a piece of paper and write down all the reasons why you can't, or why investing's not for you. And the first person that will ever say investing's not for me is because they're so scared. Their parents lost a lot of money. That's the biggest ones that I knuckle down on. And it's like, well, they're so scared. So they have this scarcity mindset. Yes. So it's all about understanding what those limiting beliefs are around money, which is always coming from your childhood or your parents or people you were surrounded by. There's also people that came from money and then they're like, they saw everyone like be snobby, jealous or hate on people. So then they don't want to have the money, so they spend it all the time. So I say like, you know, for people that are starting out and they say investing is not for me, well, it's like, well, are you just a slave to money and are you just trading time for money?
Yes.
So like, you know, at the end of the day, I say like you need to switch that mindset and stop spending because you're in the rat race. And the only way out is to actually start putting your money outside of just going to work.
Yes.
Otherwise, you're just literally a modern day slave.
Yep.
So when you sort of reframe people's thinking as to what do you actually do? You go to work, you make money, you spend it on stuff like alcohol and shopping, and then you repeat. And how many years have you done that? You know, like I'll just go to the Raise app because I love it. I started in 2018 with $20.
Nice.
Right? And like I looked at it today and, you know, it's up and, you know, everything's cycles, but it's like $6,000 and I don't put any extra. It's just the round up thing on one account. And I'm like, this is what I do. I have money in all random places and I forget about it. Yep. And then like even bank accounts, all different assets. So it's like, how can you say it's not for you? There's so much help now. Google, educate yourself. There's so many courses. And then go, well, what are you working for? At the end of the day, do you just want to stay working and then go to the retirement plan, which is $500?
Yeah.
Like you can't even live.
I think it comes down to you just got to be true to yourself and give it a go. Yeah. People that say, like you said, write it down on a piece of paper. I know it sounds cliche.
Yeah.
We had a wealth conference a few weeks ago and we said exactly the same thing. And I know people were laughing. I'm like, no, write it down. And then when we finish this conversation in an hour, reassess it and have a look at it.
Yeah.
You've got to be true to yourself. And it's even down to what we do with Raise and with the roundups that you use, is people got to be honest with where they're spending their money. They sit there and say, hey, I haven't got any money. Well, where have you spent it? Yeah. And if they look back and go, right, it was food, drinks, alcohol, entertainment, travel, whatever. But that's where you spent your money. Don't tell me you don't have any money.
Yeah.
You've just prioritised
that's
where.
Right.
Now you've got to look, be true to yourself, open it up and go, right, well, I didn't really need to spend that.
Yeah. But thing is we're living in this instant gratification world, okay? And like everybody's like in it, okay? So we're like now programmed that like if it's not now, you know, and you know, I don't know if you've ever watched, I can't remember the comedian's name, he's Asian, and he talks about Amazon Prime, and he talks about how we're so bad that it's like, in the future, you'll order from Amazon Prime and you'll be like, feed me, and you'll have your mouth open because that's how impatient you are.
Absolutely.
But it's this instant gratification. So like I talk to people about this all the time and I'm like, look, I'm not judging you, but let's be real. Like, why are you going and spending so much money on eating out? Why are you going and spending like 20 grand in Europe, but you still don't have any assets? Like, why? And it's all because it makes them have a dopamine hit.
Yes.
So, you know, Raise, you know, rounding up, it's sort of like you could gamify that. Yep. I mean, I'm going to talk to you later a bit more about the Raise Kids thing, because if you can teach it at a younger age, how to gamify investing and things like that. But like, honestly, it's just priorities, like you said, and it's education, and it's like the whole, you know, if set and forget, and if I don't know I'm spending, if I don't think about it, then it's not bad. But then people get to like 30, 40 and go, shit.
Yep.
You know?
Well, we even see it, you know, it's New Year's Eve.
Yeah.
Everyone's got 2 New Year's resolutions: get fit, save money.
Yeah.
So we see a lot of searches and things that they need an event to kickstart it. It might be their tax return, you know, this time of year, July, August, and I still call them group certificates, your PAYG form, and it says, you know, you've earned $80,000 and you've got $8 in your bank account.
Yeah.
So then they go, got to start doing something.
Yeah.
Well, you know, it's not a seasonal thing. It's you as an individual taking the time and effort, stopping, slowing down, and going, right, this is where I'm spending my money. How can I change that?
Yes.
You know, and what we do with Raise, and we'll get into it a bit later, but what I like about the roundups, and you know, my wife uses it as an excuse, as she spends, she saves.
Yeah.
Everyone's got a bad habit of spending. Nobody's got a bad habit of savings. But let's
So
put it
many
together.
people will be listening to this going, I'm signing up that are following me because they actually post when they buy things and say, Ayda will be angry.
Yeah,
And I'm
yeah,
like,
yeah.
hey, you made your choice.
Yeah, well, it's the same as the old school budget. Everyone has a budget.
Yeah.
And we know 70-odd% of our customers say they've got a budget, but 46% of it say they stick to it because of this bloody instant gratification.
Yeah.
They're walking down the street, they see a shoe sale and it'll say $200 and go, okay, I saw my budget, I did have $200, and they spend it because they want that instant gratification.
Yeah.
That's not being true to yourself and your budget. You've got to stick to what you say, and going back to the Post-it notes, write it down.
Yeah.
Make yourself look at it and it will change.
Yeah, and
You
I
gotta give it
think
down.
there's not enough evidence of people on, like, for example, on Instagram, right? You've got people that have like 8 million followers
Yep.
because they just walk around the street and like
Oh,
do nothing. I don't know. I saw it the other day on TikTok and I was like, what do you do? Like, why are people
it
following?
drives me
And then
nuts.
you've got people like us that are actually educating people,
Yep.
but
Yep.
there's not enough of people like that want that
Yeah.
versus walking around watching someone buy a Chanel bag or something, you know, and it's sad, but that's like kind of the brainwashing.
Yep.
So, you know, I think that if there's more inspiration in following and what you're following, and you look at more people that are inspiring to achieve and you're learning to educate yourself, it can be done. The biggest problem is people think I can't.
Yep.
And then even the ones that want to, I don't know how.
Yep.
And then it's like, it's too late. You know, these are all the
Never
common
too-
things, but it's
too
never
late.
too late.
Never too late to start. I think you touched on something a few minutes ago about if you might have had a family experience where your parents lost money, your brother lost money in an investment like that. So it's important to sort of get back up and give it a go. Is there, maybe might be a personal question. What's your worst investment? Have you made an issue? But you got to get back up and you got to get back into it.
Okay, many bad investments. One was like, in business, as you know, when you go through like bad times. I've been through the GFC, the fires, floods, all of this.
Yep.
In GFCs, a lot of companies owed us a lot of money that went down into bankruptcy. So I'm talking like $600,000. So that taught me a lot. As a small business, like really small at the time. And then I think in terms of actual investing, I'm heavily into like the crypto market, right? So I have made some really bad investments that I would never tell other people to do. So like it's like I say, be willing to lose. I've definitely invested in some rugs and lost like hundreds of thousands of dollars
Wow.
in crypto. I wouldn't say it was a bad investment. I would say it was an education because like
Well,
I
you learn from it.
learned.
You
Yeah,
learn
I
from your
learned.
mistakes.
And like honestly, it wasn't like they were legit and they were, it was just like all of a sudden, they just couldn't keep up with it.
Yeah.
So I'm not going to name names, but like I've learned the most about, I call it crypto education. And the only way you learn is by actually investing and educating yourself and then looking at the same thing, which is like, I learned, to go with the more stable coins, long-term investment, and then you can do your altcoins and things like that. But then looking for things that actually provide some sort of actual resource,
Exactly.
in
Yeah,
the end.
yeah,
So yeah, I've lost a lot of money. Yeah.
But the important thing is you've given it a go, and I think you've touched on it. It's I call it hands-on experience. Yes, it's the crypto, so it's not really hands-on. It's not a chunk of gold that
No.
30 years ago you'd buy a gold coin and that's your investment. But people said to me when crypto first started, and obviously with the Raised business, oh, you must be in crypto because you're fintechy, all that sort of
Yeah.
stuff. I wasn't, because I didn't understand it.
Yeah.
You got to take the time to understand what you're investing in. And I speak to, like you, I speak to a lot of people, and the big problems or the big losses that they've had is because they didn't understand what they're actually getting into it.
Yeah.
Whether it be because of the contract, they didn't read it properly, or they didn't understand it. You've just got to spend that time, invest in yourself,
Yeah.
and be educated on what you want to do.
Yeah.
think that's-
And if you don't know, then you need to get
Yeah.
coaches and mentors because
Yeah.
like there's a lot of people that will be able to teach you all of that stuff.
Yes, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, that's their job. And, again, the World Wide Web, as I call it, the WWW, it's available. There is no excuse to not find out anything.
Yeah.
I laugh every time I open up my phone and go into the Safari and see what the last thing I Googled. And it was one actually this morning I opened it up and it was, I've forgotten where Tiger beer was made. I'm like, but Tiger beer?
Isn't it in Asia?
It's Singaporean.
Yeah.
But it was, but my
I
point,
don't drink beer, but
my
I've
point
seen it.
being, it's there.
Yeah.
You know, you've got these tools, these devices, you know, your grow programs, they're there. You just got to, the individual, me, you, we've got to get up and give it a go.
Yeah.
There's no excuses.
And I think it is also like, I mean, Google can be really overwhelming. The amount of information is overwhelming on internet.
Yeah.
So sometimes like sort out experts in their field that are actually doing what you're trying to do.
Yeah.
And like ask the question. So like I'm like my biggest annoying, like when I get the most irritated is when people are getting advice from people that have never done it.
Oh.
Or they're getting advice from people that might be doing it as a business, but actually don't actually personally do it.
Yeah.
So it's like, and how long have they been doing it? What cycles have they been through?
Yes.
Yeah, so I think like, yes, Google's great, but then sometimes people actually come through and have information overload.
Yes,
and then that leads to never making a decision as well.
I think that's a massive point for anyone listening to us. It is, don't just go to one source.
Yeah.
Check other sources, check the credibility, because there is a lot of issues and scammers, etc., out there.
Yeah.
But it is, you've got to understand what you're going into. Always get a second, third, fourth opinion. I think is key. All right, so we've done a lot of talking. What about the future? Future goals for Grow, future goals for you as an individual. What's the next thing that Ayda's going to
Peace,
do?
love, harmony.
Lovely, like it.
Eat,
Agree.
pray, love in Bali.
Agree.
No, like I for me, like, so outside of the businesses, you know, I've bought businesses. I've also sold 20% of one of my businesses, expanded to Asia like you, but more in Taiwan and Hong Kong.
Nice.
Learned a lot about that. Rebought my shares in the downturn so I could own the company again. And then interstate, I guess, expansion as well. So for me, I guess it's more global expansion. I'm always learning and growing. It's about trying to find better ways to help more people easily. I think I'm just so, outside of investing in business and all that, I'm just like so passionate about like helping people. And I think for me, it's just going global, but then it all comes down to like, you know, I've been in business for 21 years. And for me, I'm sort of like on the other end where I'm now looking at like, you know, exiting out. I've sold some companies and I'm just looking for like more meaning and purpose. Yeah.
Nice. And I look back to the previous conversation and listening to you then. You know, I'm a bit older, so I've been working for a bit longer than 21 years. But, you know, I think you have the authority because you've earned your stripes. You know, people can listen to you. You can give examples because you've done the time.
Yeah.
And I think that's important when people go out there and look at whether it's a crypto app, whether it's a micro-investing equity app, whether it's a property fund or a property deal or something like that, look at the underlying people behind it because they've got to have earned their stripes.
Yeah. 100%.
I think it's one of the things. So final words of wisdom. You know, a lot of people say, hey, give me one word of wisdom. Give me three. Any three little tidbits for our listeners to get a bit excited on things.
3 bits of wisdom for people look like in the frame of...
Yeah, but how do you get started? You know, if you have been knocked down, how do you get back up again? Is there any sort of...
Yeah, 100%. I think for me, if you realize like you only learn from your mistakes, only ever learn from your mistakes or your hardships, anything. Like I've had many and, you know, like there's nothing to be ashamed of.
No.
You know, so when you switch out of shame into like this is actually growth, then you can actually always learn from your experience. For me, I didn't, you know, there was so many hardships. There was like, for me, COVID was probably the biggest one where like you actually didn't know, you know, it was so much uncertainty. I'm in real estate. You're in investing. We're all like, you know, is property going to be okay? Is anyone ever going to be able to buy an asset? You know, like, so it was quite like probably the scariest. Yeah. But I was like, man, if I go bankrupt, I don't care. I could be even better. Like, I think like I already go to the worst case scenario, which is, you know, the easiest. And then I accept the worst case scenario and then it's not really that bad because I'm not going to die.
No, but you're aware of the worst case scenario.
So that's one. 2 would be like around, I would say like invest. I would be aware of what is going out and what is coming in to your bank account. And then make sure you're not spending more than you earn. Yep. And if you are, like recap on what's actually required, your requirements, and then make sure you can invest at least 10% of your money.
Yep.
And invest it because like then you're really just a slave. Like that's how I think of this. Yeah, so
true.
Shifting that And then the third would be to like level up. And I would say that for any age group, any industry, whatever it is, like when things go bad, people that have more skill sets are the ones that can like divert and adapt. So even if you're working for someone right now, you can do short courses on other things, or you can level up in your business. So like you could do an accounting zero thing, and then something happens and you go to the business. Oh, I can do the books for you, bookkeeping, and then So like I think people just stay the same and they don't up skills. So I think the more skills and the more you read and the more knowledge you have, like it's all there.
Yep.
Yeah.
And I think too, you just reminded me, I remember that conversation with my dad years ago when I first started to play rugby. And my dad was a very good soccer player, so I played soccer, but I could kick a ball. So what made me make the first 15 was that I could goal kick.
Yeah. So
it's not, I could tackle, I could run, I could do everything everyone else did, but I had that skill set as well. And there was 2 of us going for fly half, but I could goal kick.
Yeah.
So I got in the team. And, it's not just sports, it applies to everything.
Yeah.
Education, work, there is those resources out there. And, you guys at Grow do a great job on the resources out there. So there is no excuse that people don't, and I know it's cliche, but invest in themselves.
Yeah. Yeah.
Is there any closing thoughts that you might want to drop into the conversation for our audience that we have not covered?
I probably say I think, finding ways and I've spoken to so many people this week in all different areas of life. And the biggest theme has been they don't know how to manage their money. Yeah. And these people have make a lot of money or they make enough money. I've got all different layered people, like the hairdresser and then the business people. And they're I don't know why I just can't get my head around the money thing. So I think stop saying that. Yes. I think, stop Absolutely. Saying you're shit with money. Sorry, I just, swore. But yeah, stop saying you're bad with money. Stop saying the more when you're saying that becomes a belief, yes. When you keep saying something. So the thing is I was never taught about money. Is very different to I'm bad with money. Yeah. So I wasn't taught about money, so I'm going to learn more about money. And so I think my biggest thoughts around all of this is I've got to where I have without parents in real estate, without parents in property, with no money, I actually had no support. I put myself through school and everything. And I'm a living example of how much and where you can go just through getting the right people around you, learning and getting educated. So it's kind of you are look in the mirror. That's it. Absolutely. It's you against you. Yep. That's
be
it.
honest with yourself.
Yeah. And I just think if I could go back, and this is why I love mentoring and coaching people. It's if I can go back to when I was 18, 19 and the decisions that I would make, I would have taken way more risk.
Yes.
Way more risk. And people still think I'm taking a lot of risk. I would have done way more at the same time, because buying property, my first property, I was it was $200,000 and I only needed 3%.
Wow.
As things go on, the world's changing. It's, a lot of people won't even be able to afford property anymore, which is sad. So things are changing. So as soon as you can, find a way in.
Yes.
Yeah.
And it's never too late.
Never too late.
Ayda, thank you very, very much for having a conversation and having a few laughs. I do note that you swore, not me. So just for the record, everybody out there. Thank you.
Thank
you. Any last words?
I'd just say if you wanted to find out any more about what we do, I'd probably get people to go onto my Instagram, which is just Ayda, Ayda Shabanz, and growgroup.com.au. But I've got a podcast as well, and I'm excited to have you on it soon.
Brilliant, yes.
Which is the Grow Money Mindset podcast, and everything's on my Instagram, so you can find it there.
Brilliant. Thanks for being here. And the lesson I've learned today is that don't see any failures as failures, see them as lessons learned. I think that's so powerful, and people are so easy to remember and just learn from your mistakes.
Yeah.
Thank you for being here.
Thank you.